how did Yosef go to the point of teaching us how to invest in a foolproof way, Rabotai Yekarim, and also show us that the Torah is divine, unlike the Brit HaChadashah, the New Testament, which we also like to call false testament, or the Quran, all of these other false documents that have nothing in it that's worth a penny. How does the Torah show us not only the strategy for success, but also that this success is guaranteed because it's coming from the Torah, and the Torah itself, it's divine. This is how it is. Hold on to your chairs. You're about to get a shiur that's a separate shiur of its own, but this shiur is going to prove to you two major points that will change your life if you take it into account. First and foremost, it says, "Vayilakет Yosef et kol hakesef hanimtza be'eretz Mitzrayim ube'eretz Canaan b'shever asher em shovrim vayave Yosef et hakesef beita paro." So, after everybody settled down, it says Yosef gathered all of the money that was to be found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan through the provisions that they were purchasing. And Yosef brought the money into the Pharaoh's palace. What does he need all of this money? Step number one of investing. When things are good, the market is high, which the market was at this time when there was 7 years of sustenance. What did Yosef do that almost nobody in the world is doing today unless they're an expert investor? He gathered cash. How do you gather cash? How do you get more cash during good times? You sell. Yeah, but everybody else is buying and the market keeps going higher. Exactly. That's when it's time to sell. Your Bitcoin went from 0 to, 50,000? Sell. Yeah, but it could go to 100,000. Let it go to a zillion. Doesn't make a difference. You made your money. Move on. Where do I buy nothing? What do I buy now? Nothing. The market has gone up for 13 years straight. It's not normal. You are more likely to lose than you are to gain. Yeah, but maybe I'm going to miss out. Okay, then you're an idiot and you're going to end up losing all of your money. You don't know how to invest. What do you do in a market peak like this? You sell everything that you can as soon as you can. Why? Because it's gotten to a point where you're more likely to lose than to gain. Because the biggest part of the profits have already been made. Yeah, but I'm afraid of missing out. No, you're not getting the point. This is not a preservation strategy. This is a money-making strategy. How is selling everything a money-making strategy? Tune in and you'll listen and understand how this is a money-making strategy. When everything is profited, it is gained, and you've made your money, you get out. You sell your property, you sell your stocks, you sell your bitcoins, you sell your whatever else was created in the world that to make some type of fictitious money. Sell everything. Gather liquidity. And after that, step number 2, do nothing. Stay on the sidelines. Don't even watch the news. Don't buy anything. Just gather as much cash as possible and simply sit on the sidelines. That's what Yosef did. When everything was going good, Yosef gathered all of the money from everything that Egypt had and brought it to the house of Paro. After the decree of starvation, famine, everything came, Yosef had what to give the people, which is the food they needed. He had the ability to see what was going to happen before it happened, as we saw from the beginning of Parashah, from the dream of Paro. But knowledge in itself is not enough. You have to take action. And he took action, and he was able to prepare for this decline by having all of the food ready. But how did this become a money-making operation? Because Yosef gave them food, but they ran out of money. So Yosef said, okay, Now that you ran out of money, now I need you to give me your properties, your animals, your everything else. Your cows are worth nothing if they're not going to eat. Your buildings are worth nothing if you're going to be dead. The market has crashed. The market has gone down 50, 60, 70%. No one wants to buy anything because everyone thinks it's going to go to zero. Yosef HaTzadik takes step number 2. All of that money that you gathered, now you buy. When nobody else wants to buy, everyone simply can't wait to sell everything they have because they think it's going to zero, because it's a major crisis. It looks like the whole world is going to get destroyed and we're going to go back to caveman times. That's when you buy. When everyone out there is literally throwing up and just simply predicting that this horror, this depression will never end, that's when you buy. You take that cash you've been sitting with on the sidelines, and that's when you buy. You don't buy at market tops. You buy when everybody's selling at a hurry. It's a major crisis. Certain investments have gone down 80, 90%, 95%. That's when you buy. Yeah, but if it goes down another 5%, it's going to go to zero. If it's a legitimate asset, it can't go to zero. It can go lower, but not to zero. You have to obviously be a savvy investor to know what's worth what. But you have to understand that you have to do this with preparation. You can't sell when everybody else is selling and expect to make money. You have to already be sitting on the sidelines for a while. It could be even years. And then when everybody else is selling, that's when you put all of the money to work. All of the money to work. You go full in on the things that you've done research on and the things that you know what they're worth and so on. You put everything in there. And after that, you simply wait. That's what Yosef did. And it says, Vayiken Yosef et kol admat Mitzrayim leparo, ki machru Mitzrayim ish sadeu, ki chazak alehem hara'av, v'tihi haaretz leparo. Says that Yosef acquired all of the land of Egypt for Paro. For every Egyptian sold the field because the famine had overwhelmed them, and the land became Paro's. Here we see that step number 2 of money making is to buy when everybody is selling. That is buy low, sell high. That's where it originates from in the Torah. But it's not buy low because you looked at some chart and eventually the investment is going to go lower, the stock's going to go lower. No, that's not buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high originates from the Torah where you are preparing by selling high first to gather cash, and then you wait until it becomes obnoxiously and irrationally low. And no one else wants to buy it, that's when you buy it. And then you reap the extraordinary profits. Why? Because eventually things normalize, and that investment that went down 90% suddenly recovers 30% of the way there. Now that may not seem like much, because if you owned it at where it was, you owned it at 100, and it went down to 10, and now it's back up to 30, the guy that owned it at 100 still down 70%. In reality, not much has changed for him. But the guy that bought it at 10 or at 12 or at 15, that guy just doubled or tripled his money. Without it recovering to where it was at some bubble price. We're not delusional to think that things will recover to where they used to be. That's not how you make money. You make money mostly by determined on your purchase price. On the purchase price, not the selling price, not the fictional price that of fluctuation every day. That's how you make money in business, regardless of whether it's real estate, stocks, or anything else in the world. It's all determined based on when you buy it. Not anything else, not the charts, not the weather, not the president, not the economy, nothing else matters. Simply put, your purchase price will determine already whether you're going to succeed in an investment or not. Again, this is based on market rationale. Everything, of course, is decreed by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whether someone will profit or lose is determined by Kadosh Baruch Hu. But if a person puts their ishtadlut and wants to be a savvy investor, if you're already going to be in the market and you're trying to be a millionaire, know that millionaires are not being made today. Millionaires are not being made today. Millionaires that exist today already started years ago. The only people that are going to make money out of this market are people that get out of this market, completely liquidate everything, and sit on the sidelines as if they don't know what the market is. They don't know what real estate is. They don't know what stocks are. They don't know what anything is. All of their money is in cash. And they don't talk about it. They don't think about nothing until everything crashes, until they see the headlines of every newspaper that there's blood on the streets. Everybody wants to sell everything. The world is going to zero. That's when they get the money out, and that's when they start buying. And they go full all in. I've done this, Baruch Hashem, a couple of times in my career when I was on Wall Street. And that was the major success couple of times that we had, that bigger than anything else. Bigger than anything else. Now, if a person wants to do that and that alone, of course, that'll make them very successful, but it's not going to make them a likable person or a person that anyone admires. What's going to be a true success if you do step number 3? Step number 3 that Yosef HaTzadik says here, ויאמר יוסף אל העם, הם קניתי אתכם היום ואת אדמתכם לפרעה, אין לכם זרע או זרעתם את האדמה. והיה בתביעות ונתתם 5 לפרעה ו4 הידות יהיה לכם לזרע השדה ולאכלכם ולאשר בתיכם ולאכול את אפכם. ויאמרו איך איתנו נמצא חן בעיני האדוני והיינו עבדים לפרעה. וישם אותה יוסף לחוק עד היום הזה על אדמת מצרים לפרעה. ל5 רק אדמת הכהנים לבדם לא הייתה לפרעה. Here we have the last step and also the chidush of all chidushim. It was worth it to be born just to listen to this chidush. Rabotai, step number 3 of success, real success, not just monetary success, is what Yosef HaTzadik is teaching us now. Chapter 47, verse number 23, Yosef says to the people, to the Egyptians, look, I have acquired you this day with your land for Paro. Here is seed for you. Sow the land. At the ingathering of the harvest, you will give 1/5 to Paro. The other 4 parts shall be yours, as seed for the field, and food for yourselves, and for your household, and to feed your young ones. Remember what we said about extra for the young ones, because they waste. And they said, you have saved our lives. May we find favor in your eyes, my Lord, and we will be serfs to Paro. So Yosef imposed it as a statute till this day. Remember that statement. Till this day regarding the land of Egypt. It was Paro's for the 5th. Here we see that Yosef acquired everything that these people had. They ate all the food that he already gave them, but they still needed more. Yosef says, we already made our killing. We already made all our money. We already have everything. I could turn you all into slaves. I own you. But I'm not going to do that. Only a tyrant does that. Only a pharaoh does that. Only a dictator does that. I'm a Jew. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you an opportunity to succeed. How? Give them jobs, give them opportunities. He gives them back property, their property, the property they're familiar with. And he says, you work the land, you do everything. And all we want from you is a 20% tax rate. That's it. You keep 80%. The property in reality is ours. We're giving it back to you. We're giving you opportunities to succeed. I can tell you, listen, you work the property, you're my slave, I'll give you $500 a week. I can tell you I can give you $500 a year, depending on where you live in the world. I could tell you, listen, you work the land, I'll give you 10% of the profits, 20% of the profits. Yosef says no. To make a society succeed, you have to make sure that people have the opportunity to succeed in a big way. If you want the economy to grow, it is not based on the tax rate. It's not based on the technology. It's not based on a lot of things. What it's based on is, do people want to be here? And why would they want to be here? Because they see that there's an opportunity to make it big. But if you tax them to such a point where you say, listen, you're going to do all the work and we're going to take half the profits, guess what? At all times, those people that succeed are going to look for ways to cheat the system, look for ways to pay less. This is what happens in America and all of these other countries. But the reason why Egypt grew tremendously, whereby Yosef became the most powerful person in the world, the leading economy in the world after this happened, is because he gave everybody an opportunity to succeed by giving them the work, by doing the kindness to them, even though they were not Jews. I'm giving you the opportunity to work. I'm giving you the opportunity to make a lot of money. You're going to make 80% of the money. Just be honest when it comes to paying back to the kingdom. You pay 20%. Now this sounds good, but this is where it gets better. The Torah Kedusha says to us, every sentence is a prophecy. Every sentence is a place where you can see HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Every sentence you can decipher the difference between our holy Torah and all of the garbage of the world that was created by man, whether it be the New Testament, the Quran, and all the other nonsense that's out there in Buddhism and all types of idolatry. This is where it makes a difference. When our Torah says something, it's not a superficial statement, it's a guarantee. Here the Torah says that Yosef imposed this statute of a 20% tax rate regarding the land of Egypt until this day. Is it referring to 3,000 years ago? This day is today. So I went and checked. Yosef put a law that the Torah said it's permanent until this day. Can it be that if you go to Egypt right now, the tax rate is 20%? Well, Rabotai, I did the work for you. You go to the internet, you'll see tax rate in Egypt. Corporate tax rate, 22.5%. Personal income tax rate, 25%. Now some of you are impressed. Wow, it's 22%, 25%, it's close enough. Could have been 50% like America. Could have been all types of 90% like other countries in the world. But Egypt, it's close to what Torah says. But then the naysayers say, whatever, it's a coincidence. Show me 20%. Then I'll believe. You got it. You got it. 22% for corporations. The law here is in regards to people. According to people, it says 25%. 25% it says regards to people. But that's if you look at a simple tax rate. But in reality, tax rate doesn't work like that in Egypt and in most countries. There's a grid. The grid in Egypt is based on your bracket. If you make 0 to 15,000 Egyptian pounds, you'll make 0 tax rate. 15,000 to 30,000, 2.5, and so on and so forth. Now, for it to be a 20% tax rate in Egypt for individuals, you have to make between 60,000 and 200,000 Egyptian pounds, which is not very much money according to American standards. But nonetheless, 60,000 to 200,000, you're paying 20% tax rate. Then you go and you look at what actually happens in Egypt. You'll see that while the average salary for, as far as the country itself, because there's a lot of people there that make a lot of money, it's 327,000. 227,000 of the Egyptian pounds is $21,000. Not much money. But that's the average. But in reality, the most typical salary is $109,000 per year. $7,000. Forget about whether it's a lot of money or little money according to your standards. What is the salary, the average, the most common, the most typical salary in Egypt? Meaning, what is the standard there? It's not the average. The average is based on a scale where some people make a lot. They make 2, 3, 4 million, and they increase the overall average for the guy that's making 50,000. So that's not a real number. The real number is the most typical salary. The most typical salary in Egypt today, December 2021, is 109,339 Egyptian pounds, which is 7,000 US dollars. Going back to the grid, Ishtabach Shimo La'ad. The grid said 60,000 to 200,000, 20% tax rate. Anybody need any more proofs that the Torah is divine and everything else is garbage? This is what prophecy looks like. When the Torah said there's gonna be a tax rate of 20% in Egypt, until this day, countless leaders, presidents, pharaohs, and otherwise ruled Egypt and could have changed the tax rate 1.5 million times and can change the tax rate tomorrow. It doesn't make a difference. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself decreed the people in Egypt are gonna pay 20% tax rate. Yeah, but we have even 25%. No one's gonna make that much money. Why? Because I decreed that it's gonna be 20% tax rate. So no matter what happens in the entire world, Egypt decreed permanently to never have a person paying more than 20% taxes on the average. Why? The Torah decided. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided. This, Rabotai, anyone who understands such a thing, this is unbelievable. This is no different than the Torah telling us that the Kotel, the Western Wall, will never go down. Somebody could try to blow it up tomorrow. It'll never happen. This is no different than all of the other prophecies, but B'ezrat Hashem, this is something you can see with your own eyes. You can go on the internet. You could do the analysis yourself. You can see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides this is what the tax rate will be. The tax rate, Rabotai, in Egypt is 20%. Why? Yosef HaTzadik decreed it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu fulfilled it. Why? That's how it works. A tzaddik decrees, HaKadosh Baruch Hu fulfills. Meaning an entire nation comprised of millions and millions of people, with everybody trying to make more money, everybody trying to do whatever it is that they do to become more successful, doesn't realize that the typical Egyptian will never have enough success. Never have enough success to go over this grid and pay more than 20% taxes. But if the average does change where suddenly the economy in Egypt skyrockets, you'll see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu will manipulate the world and therefore lower the tax rate where everybody's just going to pay 20%, even if they make more money. Why? It was decreed in the Torah and therefore it's true. That's what Torah reality looks like. That's what prophecy looks like. These are things you will never find in the Quran, in the New Testament, in anywhere in the world. A prophecy is not saying, listen, one day this guy's going to come back from the dead and all of a sudden the sheep and the lion are going to be best friends and he's going to ride both of them and he has long hair. None of that stuff. Rabotai, prophecy is HaKadosh Baruch Hu decrees something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then he makes it happen. He does it time and time again in the Torah, and we see it with our own eyes today. An entire country, 3,500 years later, is still living with the decree of Yosef HaTzadik, 20% tax rate. No matter what happens, that's what we're going to be. The tax rate in Egypt. Forever. They will never be higher. The average person, the typical person, will never pay more than 20% taxes. This, Rabotai, is unbelievable. And B'siyat Dishmaya, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me this gift today to find this, and I think that this is no less a great proof than all of the other proofs we've mentioned scientifically. Quite frankly, I like this one better than others. Perhaps I'm a little biased because it's my CHIDUSH, rather than something that I read in other books. But nonetheless, this is verifiable. This is something you could look at yourself. You don't even need a calculator. You can just simply go. But B'ezrat Hashem will put these papers online just for anyone that wants us to see in the time, and you can see this yourself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decrees what will be, and we have to simply just catch up to realize that there's nothing in the world that could override what Hashem said.
אני מברך את הרבנים, רגע. אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל מה שיפנו ישכילו ויצליחו. יזכרו לעשות כאלה וכאלה, רדיו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה.
במיימי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
כן.